Dear tweet, hello, this is Dapper and this is going to be my review for It's a Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood. This is not quite a biopic, but also not quite a type of documentary. I mean, the documentary already came out last year or two, and I forgot what it was called. I didn't get a chance to see it, and now I really want to see it. When I think of Mr. Rogers, I think of my childhood in a very forgotten, distant time of my life when I would wake up in the morning after having my bowl of cereal or breakfast or whatever it is. Sometimes I wouldn't eat, that was just me. And I would turn on the telly, and what I would watch Fraggle Rock, I would watch The Muppet Show because I very much love The Muppet Show. Sometimes I would rewatch the Star Wars Ewoks. For some odd reason, I was really big into the Ewoks. And along with Reading Rainbow in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And sometimes if I woke up early enough in the morning, I would watch Bob Ross painting. I was odd like that. That was just me. But as I sat down to watch this movie, those memories started floating in the back of my head, and I could say there was one person that would always tell me I was special, the way I was. And that was Mr. Rogers on the television. He always somehow reminded every children and some adults and anybody else that would watch us to know that you are special the way you are and that you are fine being you, which always just had a great place in my heart. I'm not gonna cry. Well, anyways, this film opens up in this 4:3 ratio, so it had the same exact way as you would watch a television growing up. It had this nice style, so it's basically like a Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood if it was made for adults in that type of style. And it goes back to the widescreen when it becomes the movie, and it goes right back as you're going into his world in this 4:3 television ratio, which I loved. I really loved that. Those memories just lit in my head like that's not Fred Rogers. That's an imitation, but that's Mr. Rogers at the same time. He comes and he opens up to us, the audience, and he talks to us about the pictures that he takes, which was very common in his television show. And then he opens up a door and he introduces us to the world this journalist named Lloyd Vogel. I believe his last name is Vogel. Vogel. I forgot. I just remembered Lloyd, so Lloyd is what we're going to go with. And Lloyd's character is very loosely based on Tom Junod's, I believe I'm saying his last name right, article and his life. And the article was in Esquire magazine, November 1st, 1988, and it was called Can't You Be My Hero? Which is, again, very loosely based. So it's loosely based on the character, very loosely based on the article. And I'm just going to say that I would, if you want to, if you do, watch the movie, read this article. It's a must. I believe it's a must. It's not even, it's probably like a 15-minute read, if that. If you're a very slow reader, I read it in like 5 minutes. If you read an article before the movie, that's fine. I'm just going to say, you must read this article. It is definitely worth it. The one thing I would say, just really quick, before I go too far into this, is that it is not historically accurate. Just had to throw that down because some people has asked me, how accurate was this film? I'm just going to have to say this just for the beginning of the film. I would like to save this for the end, but I just got to say it right now. It is not historically accurate, and don't worry, I'm not going to spoil the film too much for you. As he is taking on this assignment to profile Fred Rogers, there's no fooling him. He could tell, it's like he reads right through you, and he knows exactly that there's something not quite right with you, or everybody needs a little help somehow, some way. And you can see that through this journalist Lloyd that he does need some help. And they form this type of bond of a friendship over time. It's not immediate, and Lloyd is very off-putting by it because he really thinks he's a fake, as a fraud, and that what he's doing is like an on-character on the camera and not the real thing. However, a certain event in Lloyd's life does change, and the way he will view life, his family, and everything around him will basically change forever, at least in this movie. When I saw Fred Rogers, or Tom Hanks playing Fred Rogers, I kept thinking that is not Fred Rogers, that's Tom Hanks playing Fred Rogers. But the way he spoke as he delivered his lines and he did his pauses as he spoke, his mannerisms, and just the slightest movement and just the way he looked at the people he encountered and talked to, I started believing he was actually Fred Rogers just coming back to life again. And wow, that really just, it really impacted me. It impacted me where I just kept thinking like, that is definitely without a shadow of a doubt Mr. Rogers, but with more weight. Sorry, Tom Hanks, I can't help but Fred Rogers was pretty thin and he only was like a 150-pound guy. So, hey. Second, I would say about this, it is very well acted. The acting's fine, and the camera shots, which is very important for me, was just nice because if this is going to be a family film or a film you want to bring your family to watch and see, you don't want the shaky cam. You don't want the fast pacing of camera movement. It knew exactly what kind of film it was going to be, so it did it in a very well made fashion. So I very much applaud and enjoy. However, there is a nightmare scene that is pretty far out there and a bit freaky. But it's not freaky in a bad way where you have to close your children's eyes or anything. But it really was making me wonder, like, okay, where am I at now? It was odd. It kind of threw me out of place for just a little bit of a moment. But just let you know, that's in there. And don't worry, it's not foul or disgusting or violent in any way. It's pretty trippy. Lastly, I have to say, oh my goodness alive, I love the piano scores. It just had a great tone, and it just brought me, and I'm having goosebumps right now. Oh my goodness. I'm having goosebumps right now just thinking about the music, just the gently pressed piano score music that was played. It just reminded me like I'm just back in my childhood watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood all back over again. Had a great tone to it, and it wasn't boisterous, it wasn't loud. It just had a nice, well-made tone for this. And there is this one scene, I'm just going to have to say, not spoiling, so just let you know, as you watch this, there is a 1 minute of silence. And my good lord, that whole theater was so quiet. It was so, trying to say surreal of how quiet that 1 minute scene was. And I think it was more thought-provoking than any thriller or dramatic film I have seen for such a while. This is a fantastic, wholesome film. And as me being a Christian, I believe these are the films that people need to start watching and start recognizing. This is what we need. We don't need God's Not Dead. Now, that's a whole different topic. But I believe this is more of a film that, as a Christian filmmaker and one who likes to watch movies, and my fellow Christians, this is the movie that we really need to be paying attention to. The way how we respond to people, the way we love the people. And if you're not a Christian still, this brings a very fantastic moral story, and I just absolutely love it. This is possibly one of my favorite films this year. And here it is, where I'm going to put down the content of the film. Again, very G-rated, so it's PG, just for the sake, I guess, for PG, but, you know, it's a movie. And that's my review for It's a Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I think I had a little more fun, and brought my red sweater. I know, it's not corduroy, but, you know, it's what I have, so this is what I have. And it's hot, and I'm in Florida, so, my goodness. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. I enjoy doing this and watching this movie. I'm going to watch it again. I am. And hopefully that you will have a lovely day. Take care. God bless. Cheers.